Good evening, everyone. Just give me a second more. So good evening once again. Hello. Very nice to be with all of you again on Thursday evening. So first, again, just starting with some usual announcements. The recordings of these talks are available on Manhattan Center's YouTube channel, as well as Facebook page. If you want to access recording of this talk or any of our previous talks, please select the playlist Wisdom in Action on our YouTube channel. And besides this, Manhattan Center offers live meditation twice a day, Power Boost meditation at 12 p.m. in the noon, and good night meditation from Monday to Saturday at 8 p.m. and on Sundays at 7:30 p.m. Power Boost meditation is only from Monday to Friday. Meditations are only for 15 to 20 minutes. Meditators share their thoughts on a particular topic and lead you into meditation. So if you have not tried a meditation, live meditation with us, please do make an effort to join either of the time, afternoon or in the night. But if it is not possible, the recordings of those meditations are also available on our YouTube channel as well as on our Facebook page, so you can access it there. I know last week I announced that there'll be a workshop on January 15th, but we have moved the date to January 22nd. The workshop is about how to turn bitter moments into blessings. I think we all need to know that. January 22nd is a Saturday. The timings of the workshop are from 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. So please do make an effort to register, share the information, spread the word around with your friends and family, and also encourage them to join. Saturdays, anyway, mostly are holidays, right? So in the morning, in the comfort of your home, you can just listen to some nice advice, how to turn bitter moments into blessings. That's all for the housekeeping. Today's topic. But before even I introduce the topic, I just wanted to share some thoughts on it. You know, we say, and we have heard it so many times, that the man is the greatest creation of God, right? And it is true. It is true to a great extent. Man has invented so many things, and we take the benefit of those inventions. And I'm not going to go into those lists because we know it. We are familiar with it. We take the benefit. Today, my focus is on the other creative side of the human brain, where we imagine things which are completely, totally different than our own world, right? And there is a pattern from time to time. There's a series comes out and we all get involved. I remember in the 80s, it was Star Trek. And then in 2000, it was Harry Potter, and everyone is just talking about it and so involved. And, you know, there's a whole world of Harry Potter. Kids are dressing up and all. Then there is also a whole series of the superheroes. And then there is wizards and vampires, which is beyond my comprehension. My children are actually too much into wizards and vampires. And when they discuss, right, they talk about it with so much conviction as if it's real, how a wizard should behave and how a vampire is and how a combination of the two is. And it really baffles my mind. They really enjoy it. And I was thinking, why? What is the reason, right? This all gives us some newness in our routine. It's an adventure, it's an entertainment, there's an excitement. And I do remember, I think some of the series, this language was completely different. I think it was one Star Trek series or something. I'm not very thorough about it. But I know people put an effort to learn that language, and there were clubs and they were talking in those language. It's an amazing ability of human mind, right? You can create something. Besides the excitement and the adventure, I think one of the reason might be, you may agree with me and you may not agree with me, that it takes us away from our reality. In our real life, we often feel that, we can't change things, we can't control things, and we want to get out of that mode and mood. And one of the ways to create something which is completely different. Um, the Harry Potter, the J.K. Rowling, the details what she has written, the names and the designs of the place where children, Hogwarts, where they are learning, the games they play, every bit detail. And I always think that when she's writing those books, was she living in our world or in the world of Harry Potter? It's just it just baffles my mind. If I happen to meet her, I'm going to ask her. But besides that, I'm going to quote one more series. And I watched that recently on Netflix, and that's called Virgin River. And that's not an alternate word, that's our own word, right? But that's about a town somewhere near LA where people are really sweet. Not that they don't have faults, I don't mean that way, but they are cooperative, they are caring. It's a community where nobody is left behind. And no matter what they do, they take care of each other. And in this summer, in 21, we were in California. And we were somewhere near LA. So I'm like, okay, let's look up where that town is. And when I started looking up, I found out that there is no town which exists with that name. And it was all just make believe, and most of the shooting was done in Canada and all. But the interesting thing, what I found was the conversations which people have posted about it. There was so much disappointment in a lot of people who wanted to visit that community, right? And here is why I wanted to share. This is the punchline. This is what the authors posted in response to those queries of his fan mails and all. And I think it's a she. Yeah, I think it's a Robin Carr. So the author said, the point and purpose of this book is, if you like it so much, not to go and find that town and visit those people and see how they are, but actually to become like that. Right? That's the powerful message. Today's topic is the word within you. The things what we feel like we don't have control, we can't get away, it becomes burdensome and it becomes bothersome. Do we have the ability to change? And in spirituality, we say, we have these two physical eyes, but we also have the third eye of knowledge, which gives us the ability to look the word within us, not outside, not alternate, not imaginary, but real me. So today's topic, we are going to explore with Sister Ines Frank. Yes, there is a little change. I know we advertised Sister Rona's name for today's talk, but Sister Rona is not available. So Sister Ines is there. Sister Ines, a little bit about her. She is with Brahma Kumaris for 20 years. She's a Raj Yoga meditation teacher. She's a student of spiritual study for 20 plus years. She does a lot of workshop, lectures, helps organizing all the programs. But besides that, she works in the field of biomedical research. I think main focus is on immunology and virology. I'm sorry, my tongue is twisted. So again, a combination of the real world and the spiritual world and how it brings some balance in our lives, right? So without further ado, on behalf of Manhattan Center and all the participants. Welcome, Sister Ines. And everyone, all of you have the control of your mic. But if you're comfortable, please keep your cameras on. That makes the class more interactive. And it's another way to welcome Sister Ines in our group today. Sister Ines, your mic is muted. Your mic is muted. Yeah. Yes. Okay. So very warm welcome on behalf of everyone.
Good evening, Om Shanti, and very welcome to all of you. It's a great pleasure to be here and to be with you this evening. And Sister Anita, thank you for your kind words and for your nice introduction, the stories that you have shared. You also mentioned the word reality. It's a good question because we know there are different realities and we can live in different realities. And which is the reality? What is really real nowadays? So you all are familiar with the concept of two worlds, that there is an outer world and there is also an inner world. And so the outer world is basically everything around us, what we can perceive through our physical senses, what I see, what I hear, what I smell, what I touch. So through the physical sense perception, we are basically interacting and experiencing the world around us. And what is the world around us? Now, a lot of thought, a lot of our thought processes are connected with what is going on in the world, with people in the world, about relationships, whether they are positive or not so positive, about possessions, financial aspects, family, and all sorts of situations. So many times we spend a lot of energy, thought energy, thinking about people or things or situations. And nowadays we have a new normal, and there's a lot to adjust, a lot to look for, and to get familiar and comfortable with the level of uncertainty that we are nowadays experiencing in life at all different levels. And so when there are situations around me that don't necessarily make me happy, that are not necessarily very positive, that not necessarily create a space of safety, then if I start to think about it, if I have opinions about it, I speak with others about it. Now, for all of that, I'm investing the energy of my own mind to think about the situation, what I like, what I don't like, what disturbs me. We think a lot about what should be, what should not be, What should I have done? What I should not have done? So a lot of thoughts are also connected with the outer world in the context of what I did or not did, or how I performed or how I did not perform. Now, these are thoughts that we would call waste thoughts, because it's about events or things that happened which have passed. I can't change them anymore. The best I can learn from it and move on. Another type of wasteful thinking emerges when there is anxiety, when there is fear, when there is pressure of what will happen, how things will go. When our energy, when our mind is too much focused on the future because of an underlying sense of fear. Now, these are also all thoughts that will produce more fear, more anxiety. These are thoughts that will not serve me and not support a positive outcome. Plus, I am wasting my energy in it. So, mostly when our thinking is connected with the outside, with anything or anyone around me, even if it's, for example, something very pleasant or positive, if I indulge in it too much, if I can lose myself, I can get so impressed, for example, by someone's good qualities. On the other hand, there can be dislike, but in either case, I will get trapped. I am stuck on the outside. Doesn't matter how good someone is, but what about me? So for us to create thoughts that empower us to think in a way that serves us, we have to be connected with the self. And so the awakening of the third eye and throughout history, and there are different traditions and spiritual groups where the image or the image of the third eye, the knowledge of the third eye is used, and it's always connected with a higher consciousness. It's always used in the context of connecting, seeing beyond what we can see with our physical eyes. And so when we think of the third eye, that's really a tool in a way that helps me to, or makes me turn inward and go on a journey inward to connect to myself. Because the inner world, when we speak about the inner world, it is really includes everything that I experience within my own self. Everything that's going on within myself is part of my inner world. And so it's basically made up of the thoughts that we have, feelings, perceptions, attitudes, beliefs. So these are just main aspects. And so whatever we experience within us, that shapes and creates our inner world. And what we experience is very much dependent on the type of thoughts we create. What or how do I perceive even that is around me? And at this point, I do want to mention also mental health, because mental health is also part of my inner world. And so when my inner world functions well, there is vitality, there is resilience, there's a sense of control. I am in control, in charge of myself, of my life. There is meaning. And on the other hand, if my inner world does not function so well over a longer period of time, there can be then mental conditions. And the very one condition that is very present but many experience is depression or anxiety. And so if there is then a stressor, if there's something in the world that stresses us, something related to relationships, finances, or job. So if my inner world is doing fairly well, if I have a positive experience in life, then I will bounce back. My inner world will bounce back very quickly. It can. However, if there's a mental condition, if I have had a lot of negative thinking over a long period of time, and then there's an additional stressor that can create very easily hopelessness and, all these energies that don't lighten up our life. And so I think something that we all can do for ourselves is to come to know and learn and understand the importance of understanding of who I am, basically, and to learn to connect inwardly in a way that I can empower myself. And so we take the thoughts that we, instead of having the thoughts about the outside world, I can take the thoughts inside. And let's experiment with it for one moment. So temporarily, for a couple of moments, we put the outside world aside. And I allow myself to turn my mind on itself. And within my own consciousness, I now choose to create a thought of truth, a thought that empowers me. And one such thought is, I am peace. I am a peaceful being. And my original nature is of peace. just the thought that I am peace, that I have a right to be peaceful. Just this one simple thought creates a completely different energy within. So every moment I have a choice what I think, what my thoughts are, what I'm connecting with. You know, in an ideal condition, the world is perfect, everything is wonderful, there's peace and harmony. And then, of course, that's also something I will experience. However, on the other side, if we live in a time where there is not so much peace and harmony outside, and I keep taking through my thoughts, keep taking from the outside world because their desires, their needs. I'm constantly thinking what I have to do, whom to meet, whom not to meet, what to do, what is going on in the world. Now, that can or that will create an energy inside of me. And I have to live in that energy, which is not very healthy. So where the peace will come from? And so when we think of the third eye, when we think of wisdom, and we give ourselves a chance to see beyond the obvious, to see beyond what we just see with the physical eyes. And have courage to think that deep within my being, I am peace. There is peace. And that's what I want to experience. And this is what I want to explore. And so creating an energy of peace. But then there's also love. There's kindness. There's sweetness. So there are a lot of qualities in the being or within the being, not necessarily somewhere in this physical costume, because body also is very physical. But if we think of a higher consciousness, of a higher awareness, of a universal vibe, then that would be connected to qualities such as peace, love, even happiness, joy, strength, wisdom. But what will take me away from this awareness of those qualities, what I actually want to experience are certain desires, certain needs that I have. I believe I need, I have to go somewhere to be happy. I have to have something to be happy, or I need to be with that person in order to experience peace. Or like I said before, if I'm very judgmental, critical, very opinionated, even though there are so many things going on in the world that it's not something that we have desired or we wanted to have in our world, but they are there. So there are many things in the world that just happen. They are out of our control. We cannot control people. People will say and do whatever they think is the right thing for them. Will not ask us. So what will I do? Nowadays, there is also a great force coming from nature. So many different parts of the country, their natural calamities, very powerful experiences, great losses that people experience. But even though there is hardship like that, I have a choice. But to connect to the light, to connect to the power, to connect to courage, I probably will not find it somewhere outside of me. Even if you're lucky and you have someone around you who encourages you, who supports you, but eventually you will be on your own. And so to be my own best friend, to know my strengths and to give time and use my energy to engage with the best within me. I think this is something that we need to do. It's not that anyone has taught us that. No one really taught us how to think. But that's where, the spiritual dimension comes in. The third eye, knowing, being willing to accept that maybe there is more to me than just the physical appearance. And so when we think of the inner being, then I'm connecting to my spiritual identity. And my spiritual identity is totally independent of what I have achieved or not achieved in life. Independent of how much money I have, whether I'm educated or not educated. My spiritual identity, when I connect to my spiritual identity, we are able to create thoughts of truth. I am peace. I am a peaceful being is a thought of truth. It's not something that I see or hear so many times. But this is what wisdom will tell me. This is what I will discover when I turn inward and connect to a higher consciousness. Where I am willing to tap into an eternal truth. No one will see it. I am not doing it for anyone. I am the one who will benefit. But if I engage in that practice, if I make that part of my life and I give time to myself to go inward and connect to the eternal truth of who I am, And then I come back and interact with others. I have something to give. Not physically, but peace, respect, kindness. So the more we are allowing the self to connect at a spiritual level and understand that what we really need, we cannot find in the world outside. It only requires, we don't need money for it. It only requires to make a very small shift and to bring the attention, bring my mind energy from the outside back inside. And then there's one more step to it. As we can just leave the physical world behind us temporarily as we turn inward, because in the past, I never really gave attention to myself as a more spiritual being, as a more subtle being. We have taken in the outer world inside of us. And so that, of course, has created a lot of upheaval inside. And we are left with, some pains, some hurts, some losses. Forgiving was not always so easy. So when I consciously choose to turn within, one is I leave the upheaval outside behind, but then I also choose, and that's again, it's a choice I have. I choose within my own consciousness, within my own mind. I will acknowledge, okay, there are certain sensations, certain feelings, certain thoughts that are not of happiness. I acknowledge them, but then I leave them right there because now I know a new way. And the new way is to rise above. Or you can also, when you think in terms of an ocean, you can think of dive deep, because the movement of the water is on the surface, but the deeper you dive, the stiller the water becomes. So if I have the courage to accept that within my own consciousness, there are those energies of peace, truth, cleanliness, love, wisdom, joy. If I have the courage to accept that, I can connect to it. Simply by creating, for example, a thought, I am a being of love. I am love. And first of all, I give that love, this within my being, to myself. Because there are parts within myself that need love, that I had neglected before. And so giving that to myself and then I created love or extended love to those around me. To have thoughts of blessings, thoughts of good wishes, have pure feelings for those around me is very powerful. Because naturally, if I had any negative or wasteful thought, or if there was any upheaval in my mind, in any relationship, but I now choose from giving the love to myself, giving that love, extending that love also to my neighbor, to that person who I thought has hurt me at some point in time. It will free me from the upheaval in the mind and create peace. So to have love also includes to forgive. I'm not holding on anymore. What someone did, what someone said, okay, that was definitively not good. But it's my greatness to let go of what that person did or said, to free my own self. So if we connect to our inner light and we nurture that, create that energy, we can extend that energy then to others, and that will free us from all the unnecessary thoughts. Because just let's think about it for a moment. Doesn't matter whether situation or people, and things are really not right, said right, done right. In my own mind, I start to have all sorts of negative thoughts about it. Okay, I don't like it. But then you keep further thinking. We're talking about. Now I'm using my own mind to have all these unnecessary, wasteful, maybe even negative thoughts. I am creating those thoughts in my own mind. How will I feel about that? Where will those thoughts go? Where will those feelings go? Something outside of me is not going right, but I have negative thoughts about it. I get angry or upset about it. Doesn't make sense. And so it's many times it's just the habit to always be on the external. But why not? We all like company, we all enjoy good relationships. Why not nurture a healthy relationship with my own self, where I nurture the energies of the higher self? And then when I connect to peace, for example, that is also then from where I can connect to the higher power, the source of peace. Now I can, through that connection, I can strengthen my own inner peace. And then when I interact with the world, I have something to give to the world that is of use, that empowers. I'm in a place where I can share, contribute something of meaning, something that brings benefit. I don't think there's much left in the world that we can take from to make us happy. So instead of living from the outside in, where I take, consume, even consume the goodness of others, I want love, I want respect, I need this, I need that. I want to be entertained. All of that will create that kind of emptiness within. The more I desire, the weaker I will feel. And it's not necessarily that our desires get fulfilled. And even if they get fulfilled, for how long? So we have a right to create a world of light, of peace, of consistency, of hope, of love within our own consciousness, within our own mind. No one and nothing can force us to think negative. It is my choice what I take within, because my mind is a sacred space. And I want to use that energy meaningfully, purposefully. And instead of, you see, because of all this stuff, of so many things are going on in the world, instead of adding more anger, frustration, discontentment, why not connecting to the ascending energy? And even if it's just a tiny drop, but look at the world, look at those around us with the vision of hope. Speak words of encouragement. Let's look what we can contribute to make things better. And it doesn't really matter what the rest of the world is doing, because we are responsible for what I am doing. I am responsible for what I am doing. But if I do it with love, if I do it meaningfully, others might get inspired. But foremost, what is important is what I experience, what is going on in my own inner world, because I can only share what I have. You know, nowadays, for money, you can get almost everything. But is there any shop where we can buy peace? We can distance us from situations, from people. I cannot distance myself from my own mind. It's with me 24/7. And I think it's a minimum to accept a pure vision for my own self, a vision of love and hope and peace is the minimum we can do. And we can increase it, we can make it stronger by connecting to the source. And so let's just do another short meditation and connect with that point of stillness in your own mind. So we choose to, again, we leave the world as it is, and I choose to turn within. And as I go inward, I have a thought of joy. That happiness is within. I am originally and eternally a happy, joyful being. I have the right to create that thought. Do I have the courage to do so? Why not? It's my choice. I can go for the highest, for the best. And to have that compassion for myself. And use my energy in a worthwhile way. And if I do so, I myself am able to experience lightness, a sense of freedom. There's contentment. And then when I interact with others, through my words, or maybe only through my vision, I can share those qualities naturally. And who knows, your vision of acceptance, your vision of love may ignite the light of hope in the other person. A genuine vision of love and respect. Everyone has the right for that, or to that. And if I start with myself, there's a lot I can share and give to the world. Because the world will go on. People will go on doing what they have to do. But what is my choice? How do I use my energies? We don't have to go with what is happening outside. You know, we can take the courage and create something new. Okay, so I'll stop here. And if there's any questions or comments.
Hello, Sister Ines. There's nothing in the chat. I think everyone is listening very intently. But by the time they are gathering their thoughts to share something or ask something, I'll just share my takeaway. I really love the phrase, do I have the courage to create that powerful thought, which is the truth? And I think that changes the game. Do we have the courage to say that, yes, I am peaceful? Yes, I am loveful. Yes, I am kind. And create that inner reality, which can then manifest. Thank you. That was very powerful. So,
And then we will also experience that when we connect to the inner point of stillness, it's joyous, it's enjoyable to be still or quiet internally for some time, even refreshing.
I would like to share something as well. Hello, I'm Konstantinos. Thank you very much. I understand that we need to do work with our inner self. And I also like the fact that you emphasized that this work that we do with ourselves also can help ignite hope for other people. So I think that's also very important to remember. It's not just us. It's not just, all about ourselves. It's about, yes, respecting ourselves and working on ourselves, but also sharing that knowledge, that peace that we've created within us. And I guess this is how the energy spreads throughout the world. Yeah, that would be my thought.
Right, exactly. So you see, when there is self-respect, then we have value for the energy we create. There is value for the thoughts I have. There is value for how I feel. Because we also understand, like you were saying, what is thought is very subtle. It's an energy, it's a vibration. And it goes into the world, even without speaking. And then, someone else will join, And that energy will become more and more powerful. And maybe others, it becomes a support for those who are in need. And the other aspect that you mentioned, it's so true, because it's actually a universal law. We can only give what we have. And qualities like peace, love, happiness, contentment, joy is a vibration, it's a state of being. You cannot fake it. We can, but it will not have the impact. So to share that with someone, you have to be it. And I didn't go into that other aspect of being. But when you connect with that point of stillness, where there is then also stability within, and I emerge the thought of peace or love, then I'm moving into a state of being. I'm not just thinking about it, but I am it. So the more I am connected with the outside world, I am constantly in a mode of doing. I'm constantly active. The mind is so active, so fast. We don't even know anymore what we are thinking, because we are creating so many thoughts and they're so fast. And where is the being? peace can only be experienced in the moment. If I am in the moment, if I have thoughts from the past or of the future, I will never be able to experience peace. Peace can only be experienced here and now. So moving also from a state of being constantly engaged into a state of being. And that's where actually the power lies. So someone looking at you then, and you are peaceful. You can walk, speak, move in peace. And that will have great impact on someone. That's actually where we can really help, because what people need, what souls need nowadays. So these are just few additional thoughts.
Thank you, sister. But sometimes mind plays the game of all the negative thoughts. So even though you're trying to apply all these, what we learn, but it doesn't help. So how do you do that?
I'm not sure if I fully understood the question. So you were saying when there are negative thoughts, how to stop them?
Yes.
One is to recognize, which shall be easy, right? That this is a thought that is not very desirable.
Mm-hmm.
But the power then lies within the creation of a thought of truth. So instead of battling and fighting with the negative, you recognize it. And like you switch on the switch of light in a dark room,
Mm-hmm.
you make a switch in your awareness and you connect to your eternal spiritual or original spiritual identity, where I am peace, where I am love, where I am full and complete.
Mm-hmm.
You create this kind of thoughts. And then I will also look at others. It's not that necessarily the person expresses that quality of peace or is in a state of peace, but I choose I choose to have a vision of peace, of hope, of forgiveness for that peace.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? This
Yes.
then becomes, but it takes strength from my side, because my lower self will be pulled to, cheek for cheek.
Yes.
Something, I will just, give it back.
Mm-hmm.
But where do we end up then?
Mm-hmm.
So if I value, because I have experienced that value, that quality of peace within myself, and I value that. Now, if I have self-respect, I will respect who I am
Mm-hmm.
and what I value, and I'll stand for that. So within my own self, I have to then a choice to choose and have that same vision for someone else.
Mm-hmm.
It requires only a little bit of practice, having that awareness to make that switch and rise above the energy that brings us down.
Mm-hmm.
And the solution is in creating a powerful thought.
Okay. Thank you. Om Shanti.
Thank you.
I think we are out of time. We actually went a little bit over time.
Yeah.
Is it okay if we wrap it? How would you like to wrap it? Just do we want any meditation for a minute or some silence?
Okay, then let's just for a short moment, let us connect again to the beginning point, to this point of stillness. So you can keep the eyes open or close them. And so temporarily, I'll step out of the world around me, what I hear, what I see, and I bring my focus on this point that I visualize within my mind. It is the point of stillness, point of stability. And as I focus, hold the focus on this point, it's like I dive into the ocean, deep down, and I experience the stillness, quietness emerges in my being. And there's peace. I am connected with who I am, the eternal energy of peace. I just look at that thought. I hold that thought as long as I can. And the more I do this, the experience of peace will become an inner reality. And so as I then emerge from that experience, I connect again with the world around me. But I keep reminding myself to pause from time to time and to go within. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.